Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Racing with Ryan podcast, and I'm very excited about this one because guess what? We got to race! Yes, racing back at New Smyrna, so we have that to talk about, and we'll talk about the NASCAR All-Star race at Dover because that was, that was a thing that happened this weekend. But before we start the show, very special guest on this week's episode, we have William Hindman, who's promoting the Hell on Wheels event at the Orlando Speedworld this Saturday. He's called in, and we're going to hype up that event a little bit. Going to be very exciting to get back out there to Orlando Speedworld. As I kind of told him in the interview, you know, that's a place, before anybody knew who I was, I would go out there from time to time as a youngin' and watch some racing. And I've announced a couple of the Crash and Smash events out there in the past, and the little fun race we did a few years ago that unfortunately got interrupted by rain. So it's going to be really fun to have a chance to go out there and get on the mic for some real racing at Orlando. Plus, you know, we had the fun events there to fill out the night as well. So definitely looking forward to that. So before we get into that interview to kick off the show, I want to thank our sponsors, including our friends at Paramount Medical Billing, F&F Racing, Do All Lawn and Tree. I also think we also thank Ken Copley for sponsoring the program and the Splish and Splash swim program. And thank you to Stephen Smith from StephenSmithIncorporated.com for the generous donation to the Make a Splash Foundation that he presented us with on Saturday night. So thank you to all of our sponsors and our supporters. And thank you to William Hindman for taking time out of his evening to call in and talk about the event coming up this weekend at Orlando Speedworld. All right, everybody, on the Racing with Ryan podcast hotline today, very special guest. We welcome in William Hindman, who's getting prepared for a very special event coming up this Saturday night at the famous Orlando Speedworld. William, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Ryan. How you doing?
Doing well. Are you as excited as a lot of people seem to be for Saturday?
Man, it is you can feel it in the air. I'd hate to use such a cliche term, but man, there's definitely excitement. Phones have been blowing up all day. I can't keep a phone charged, I'm telling you now. Everyone is calling and texting and messaging, trying to get the lowdown and the laydown, everything that's going on and what we're doing. It's exciting.
That's a good problem to have, really.
Yeah, it's a great problem.
If you're going to have problems.
I'm worried about how we're going to have enough concrete to park on.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine the place is going to be pretty packed both on the back and the front side of this place.
Yeah, it's definitely, before they built that concrete drift pad out there, I remember many years of the pits being full over there at Orlando Speedworld and having to park out back in the grass in the dark with no lights, and you didn't have a flashlight or, it'd be pitch black out there. But Ozzy put a drift pad out back at Speedworld some years back, so that gives at least better than parking in the grass, and there's a little bit of lighting back there, but he hasn't fully lit up the back lot yet, but the pits are still nice and clean. I was actually there today, sweeping the racetrack with a Bobcat, with a sweeper attachment on the front, giving that old girl a massage, you could say, because who knows when the last time it's been swept? Because we all know Speedworld's been used and abused for the past 13 years, and really ain't been used for racing. So it's going to be a little bit of a breath of fresh air for that place. Before
we get too far down the rabbit hole here, tell everybody what we have coming up, because this is very exciting. You just alluded to it. There hasn't been much actual racing on the oval track in a long time. So what are you bringing to the table this Saturday?
Well, this Saturday we are running multiple classes. We decided to have a little bit of racing and a little bit of smashing going on.
Best of both worlds.
Yeah, best of both worlds. Everyone that's serious want a real race, we got that. If you want to see some stuff run into some other stuff, we got some of that too.
I love it.
But we're bringing the ground pounders over. Everybody loves a ground pounder. Ain't nothing cooler than a 57 Chevy out there running 100 miles an hour.
Right.
So we have them coming over. We have the pure stocks. Most people know what a pure stock is. Statewide, they're called pure stocks. The Smyrna Speedway calls them super stocks. They're slightly different, but not too far off that they can't run together. We're making the supers add a little bit of weight, so they weigh the same as a pure stock to try to level that playing field a little bit. And we'll see how it goes. These guys are not used to running on a 3/8 mile of Orlando. They do go to Freedom Factor from time to time, but the super stock guys, they really don't. So this might level the playing field a little bit. I mean, we'd have to see. We're also running the Pro Truck. Ashley Holmes stepped up, brought the trucks in. So we're going to have them there. That's been the first time in a long time. I believe that's where the pro truck class started in Florida years ago. It kind of was like a kids class, so to speak.
Yeah. Guys
like Kevin Henry and Logan Bordeaux and Declan Monopoly's been running trucks since I can remember. Names like that back when the trucks only had like 305 crate engines in them. Like you couldn't touch them. They were kind of like a sealed kids class. I mean, I don't want to use that term and call anyone a kid. Right. No, we're not taking it seriously, but it's trucks in their early stages, I believe, started at Speedworld.
But, I believe that Matthew Green probably started out there too in a truck, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, a bunch of them. Matthew Green started in a truck. Bruce Bennett, he started in a truck we always cracked on and said it looked like candy corn because it was orange and yellow and white.
Perfect.
But, yeah, so we have the trucks, and we're bringing, you could say the world-famous Crown Vics. These guys show up in numbers. They put on a good show. They ain't afraid to beat and bang because these, old taxi cabs and police cars, they're heavy duty, so... But we're also letting the Bomber Bees from New Smyrna. I mean, I don't know if a lot of the Crown Vic guys have ever run against something that's not a Crown Victoria. Right. But we have, last year's Rookie of the Year, Noah Torres. He's going to be showing up with a box Chevy Caprice to run against these Crown Victorias. I believe Skinny from New Smyrna, he's showing up with he's got an 80s model metric Monte Carlo SS. So it might be a Pontiac Grand Prix, but tomato.
Right.
There's going to be a little bit of mix of everything in this Crown Vic race. It's not just going to be for the Crown Vics.
That's going to be a lot of fun to see what kind of stuff shows up, because I think there's a lot of people that are very eager to get out there to Orlando, and they might just pull something out of the weeds and give her the old, college try on this one.
Yeah, I hope so. I know, as much as I'd hate to say it, but racing over here on the East Coast kind of faded out a little bit when Orlando closed. Yeah. And, some people didn't want to go run a half mile in New Smyrna. And, it's understandable. A half mile's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But,
it's tough.
I'm hoping, some old dogs still got some cars and still can come out, or at least come out and take a look, see if they want to get back into it. But, yeah, we definitely missed the place. Going there, every time I pass through the gate and climb over the hill and drive onto the racetrack, it's like flashback memories for me. I love it, and I can't wait till the weekend.
Yeah, how special is this to you, being part of this big event coming back to Orlando and actually getting some classic racing going?
It's very special to me. That's why I definitely take so much pride in it. Most of everyone that works for us, they're just donating their time and helping out and just try to get this thing off the ground. But I grew up next to Orlando Speedworld with my father. Obviously, my dad's property as I grew up as a kid. Our property joined Orlando Speedworld, and we were friends. My dad was friends with the Harts and the Weissenders and everyone that was involved with Orlando Speedworld back in the day. Like, I don't think I ever bought a ticket to get in anywhere in my life. But, yeah, I've been going there since I was a kid. My father actually raced there on opening day. I have one of the original flyers from back in 1972, I believe. My dad's name is on the roster of opening night drivers that were there when the track opened. So the place has a little sentimental value to me. Actually, a little fun fact is Orlando Speedworld's very first ambulance was like an early 60s Cadillac hearse.
Really?
Hearses used to be ambulances back in the day.
Sure.
Well, I guess my dad bought that old ambulance from the Harts just for scrap price to get it off the property because it was rusting away. I still have the siren off the top of that ambulance that was, Speedworld's first ambulance. I still got it in my garage, and
that's fantastic.
I hit it to a battery every once in a while just to spin it over. But yeah, Speedworld has definitely holds a place in my heart that it's definitely my first track. And I'm thrilled to be bringing people back in here and getting them going and getting them excited about coming over here. And there's no track like Speedworld. There's other 3/8 miles here and around, but no one's got the banks and stuff. This is like a baby New Smyrna, basically.
Yeah, and it's it's got the big flat apron, and I used to love watching the cars dive bomb into turn 3 and try to use the flat part of the track. And because a lot of people don't know this, but before I came around to New Smyrna, when I was a kid, I would beg my mom to drive me down 50, drop me off at Speedworld, and it only happened once or twice a year, and she'd drop me off and come pick me back up later because we lived down the way in Orlando. So that's the first Florida track that I went to when we moved back down here, because I used to go to the local tracks up north with my dad, and when we moved down here, without my dad, unfortunately, I didn't get to go to much racing, but Orlando was always special because that was the first place I'd go, and I'd always go to the, the big Crash and Bash events in November, whenever I could go to those too. So to kind of come full circle and get a chance to announce some real stock car racing there is going to be pretty fun. So I'm definitely looking forward to it, and I appreciate you letting me tag on to it as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we definitely love to have you. We know that you know what you're doing, and you know most of the drivers that'll be there, and if not, we know that you'll figure it out and keep the crowd entertained. So we definitely, your job is to basically give them the show. It's like talking to the radio. If they don't see it on the track, you say it out loud, and they kind of have a picture going, whether they're watching the exact action that you're looking at or not. We need someone that's that animated and is that excited about what he's doing.
Absolutely.
And, there wasn't a better option than you.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And the divisions that we have racing there for the racing purist folks, I mean, that's some of the best you can get with the trucks right now in Florida. They're super strong. The Crown Vics have been great, and the pure stocks. I mean, if you look at all these other tracks around the state, they get 10 to 18 of these things a week. So we're probably going to have. I'm not even worried about car counts. I think that's going to take care of itself, and the people that show up to spectate this weekend are going to be in for a real treat.
Oh, absolutely. Just in the race car oriented stuff that we have showing up, I believe we have 74 cars pre-registered, and I know probably at least 5 or 6 pure stocks that haven't even signed up yet.
Fantastic.
But I know they're coming because they bought tires, and I know they're coming. They just wait until the last minute, or they're just going to sign up at the gate. Some of the old guys, they like to just they don't get along with the interweb.
Yeah, well, and Rusty always tells me, he's like, you can preach pre-enters and do all this stuff, but you can't count them until you see the whites of their eyes anyways. And like you said, there's people that are probably just going to wake up Saturday morning, tow out there and be like, surprise, we didn't want to tell everybody we're coming, but here we are, so look out. It's always fun when you get a few surprises, and it's going to be real fun when those things start rolling out that hill, like you said, when they come off the back straightaway hill down into turn 3, and people start getting excited because we got real stock cars back at Orlando. I think the buzz is going to be tremendous, and super fun to be a part of. And what a great weekend too, Memorial Day weekend. People are going to be hyped because they're going to be ready to go watch the Indy 500 and NASCAR 600 and all that stuff the next day, and then have Monday off to recover. So you picked a good weekend for this.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend for sure. And even if all the races not your cup of tea, we're having the first ever skid car figure 8 race. Like we've I mean, I don't want to 100% say it's the first ever, but I've looked all over the internet, looked at racetracks all over the country, and no one ever done a figure 8 with skid cars. So I want to say that we're the first ones that have ever done this, and we don't really know how it's going to work. If anyone has ever been to a Crash-A-Rama show, type show, Tour Destruction, Crash-A-Rama, whatever you want. It's the same show, different name, whatever. If anyone's ever seen it, none of these guys, they barely can keep these things going straight down the straightaway. Right. Now they're going to have to come off an embankment into an intersection, and it could be oncoming traffic coming at the same time. And we have roughly 12 to 14 pre-registered just for that.
Oh my goodness. I mean, if you like chaos, that is going to be pure chaos. Because like you said, they're going to come off that banking, drop down on the flat, and they're going to be, if they're not spinning out, they're going to be sawing on that wheel. And then who knows, they'll be spinning out coming through the intersection. It's going to be wild.
Yeah, I mean, if you're coming off to say turn 2, the inertia of you turning left is going to swing the back end of the car to the right. And then if you have to hit the brakes because traffic's coming, it's just going to whip you around and spin like a top. And then hopefully the guy coming doesn't do the same. You guys are going to swing into each other. Like I said, we really are not sure how that's going to go down, but it'll be exciting nonetheless.
That's it. And, at that point of the show, bring the excitement. Let's just see what happens with that. And I'm sure the folks will be entertained. And then if they're not by that, of course, we also had the enduro race, which I always love enduros. Those are always super fun. You just never know what you're going to get with that. But tell us a little bit about this bus race that we have coming up as well. I know a lot of people love the school bus figure 8 races, but this one's pretty special.
I'm a brother from another mother, Shane Satoris, track champion at New Smyrna Speedway. He was very, very dominant a few years ago. He took a little hiatus, went to Mod Mini, and he raced that for a couple years there. He's kind of taken a little setback, kind of reframed himself. He's kind of stepped away from racing a little bit, tried to regroup a little bit. His son got into it a little bit. But Shane's father, Chester, man, he was a mountain of a man. I remember being, in my early 20s. He must have been every bit of 6'6", 350 pounds. I mean, if a Bigfoot was real, it was about the same size as Shane's dad. I mean, you've seen Shane, obviously. Yeah. He's a mountain of a man himself. His dad was bigger. But we lost Chester a couple months back, and Chester worked for our company in the salvage business. He worked for us for decades, on and off, and he is a big mountain of a man. Everyone could be a little intimidated by him, but he was a big teddy bear at heart. And the older he got, we love listening to his stories. And he actually was in the very first school bus figure 8 race at Orlando Speedworld, which also was the very first one in the country. And guys that were in that race was, Chester, Jim Erb, Chuck Rush, Butch Pierce, those 4 or 5, and Benjamin Kraft. Those probably 5 guys were the first ones that were in the first bus race. They started this. They all, they were the ones that thought this is absolutely crazy. We're going to run buses in an intersection. We're getting these things for $500 a piece at auction. Man, I don't know if the crowd's going to like this, but obviously it took off nationwide.
Yeah,
every racetrack has a bus race now, but these original few guys, they started it, and Chester was one of those. And so we're going to have this race, a memorial race for him. His first circle track stock car number was 23, so we're going to go 23 laps.
Perfect.
And we're going to do it in Chester's name. Shane is in a bus. Shane's nephew, Chester's grandson, Logan Satoris, he's going to be in a bus.
Very nice.
We got, 2 kinfolk out there trying to fight for the win, and I might step in a bus myself. Or I might just be watching it. It might not be something I want to get into, but I ain't gonna lie. I'm pulling for a Satoris to win this, to win it for granddad, their father, because he was a great man. We all do miss him, and it's going to be a great show. So at the end of the night, if you ain't entertained by pure stocks and pro trucks and Crown Vics and Enduro, we're going to finish the night off with a school bus figure 8 race and see if we can cause a little carnage, maybe flop one of these things over on its side. Who knows?
Oh, I'm sure somebody's going to come here and see something they've never seen before with all that stuff going on. Great, traditional racing action and the crash and bash stuff. I don't see how anybody's going to leave here disappointed. And if they are, I question why they even thought that this would be the event for them. But you kind of alluded to it a little bit. I was going to ask, I know you're busy trying to, get all this organized, and I'm sure you're going to have a huge hand in keeping the event rolling. But do you have any plans to hop into anything? I know you mentioned maybe hopping in a bus. You got any other plans throughout the night to race at all?
Yeah, I mean, I do have a school bus. It's red and white, so if anyone's looking for me, I'll be in a red and white bus. But I'm pretty positive. I'm handing the wheel over to my cousin Jim. I'm going to let him drive it. I'm going to let him get out there and get after it, so that I just want to watch. I want to see how it goes down, because I'm a fan first.
Yeah, I feel that.
I was ever really into this, so it don't hurt my feelings to sit back and let these guys go at it. Because I think we're up to 15 school buses. Perfect. So it's going to be a pretty thick field out there.
Yeah, that's going to be wild.
We might have an extra surprise coming out there as well during the bus race. We don't want to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we're going to have a little something extra. We'll see.
Okay, so if your interest wasn't already piqued, there are surprises.
There definitely could be.
Well, this sounds like it's going to be a fantastic time. I've really been looking forward to it since you dropped the info, and I was like, hey, that's a New Smyrna off week. I actually have quarter midgets in the morning at Little New Smyrna, so I'm going to do that and then hit the highway, head down to Orlando and make it a full day. And I cannot wait. I'm super excited. Weather's looking great. I think what you guys have done with the promotions and lining things up and adding things strategically and working with the other tracks, I think it's going to be a great event. And
yeah, for sure, absolutely. I do want to give a little shout out to Rex, over there at Orlando Speedway, because when we first put out this event that we were putting it out, we kind of just all right, what do we want to run?
Yeah,
what's fun to watch? And we threw a few classes out there, and they come to find out we stepped on the toes of Orlando Speedway and Rex. They have a memorial pure stock race for someone that used to work at the track. I believe it was a tech man for many, many years, but he passed away, and they're having a memorial for him. And we stepped on their toes and planned our same class over the top of theirs. And once I found out about it, I felt horrible. I reached out to Rex, and we worked something out. So he actually moved his race up for a couple more weeks to give everyone the opportunity to come over here and run in Orlando. He gave us our blessing. He supplied us with American racers for our drivers for that class, because we are running American Racers for that class, and we're running Hoosiers in the trucks. I know it's a little confusing, but
yeah, but that makes that kind of makes sense for what runs. The pure stock guys are on the American Racers. Trucks run a lot of Hoosier stuff, so everybody's getting their share of stuff, and it's nice when trucks can work well together. And I know you tried to add a couple of the other things. We had to back off on this, and you worked with the other tracks to try to keep everything fair. And I just think the way you guys have been doing it is really nice, and I just think the whole thing has a good aura about it.
Oh, yeah. Teamwork makes the dream work. Ain't no reason to step on other people's toes. We can work together and do more than, working separate. So that's definitely how we're always going to be. New Smyrna and Orlando Speedway, they're basically our partners with this. So we work with them, they work with us, and everybody's happy.
I love it. Well, before we let you go here, tell everybody what time, when they should get out there, and I don't want anybody to miss anything. If you know anything about Speedworld, come early.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The spectator gates open at 5:30. Racing starts at 7:30. You can tailgate, hang out in the parking lot until then. We already got a few people that have messaged us about, can we tailgate in the pits? And, we want to grill chicken wings and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, absolutely, as long as you supply me with some. So, yeah, I mean, the pit gate will open probably Saturday around, I think about 10 o'clock we'll all be there and, get practice and qualifying underway shortly after. But, yeah. Races start at 7:30. Gates open at 5:30 on the spectator side. Tickets are $40 for the pit side, $20 on the spectator side. Kids are $10, 3 and under free.
I mean, great value right there. That's going to be a fun night at the races, and I think we're all going to have a blast. And I think Speedway Video is coming out too, so we'll have all the highlights on there. And if you get up to go to the bathroom and miss something, you'll be able to watch it back.
That's right. That's right.
Well, William, thank you very much for taking some time out of your night here to call in, and it's going to be very exciting, and I'm looking forward to next week's show when I get to recap it, too.
Awesome. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. All right, we'll see you out there Saturday, so come on out. Hell on Wheels at Orlando Speedworld. It's going to be historic. It's going to be a blast. Great racing, and your crash and bash stuff there on the end, too, if that's what your deal is. So a little bit of racing for everybody, so come on out to Hell on Wheels this Saturday, Orlando Speedworld. You will not want to miss it. All right, well, if you are not excited about what's coming up this weekend at Orlando, I really question if you're a race fan or not. But in all seriousness, it's going to be a blast of a show. I'm happy to be just a small part of it. I know William has been working his tail off. I wish that there was more I could do. I tried to, I was been talking to William about a few things kind of early on, and we're going to even try to use New Smyrna's My Race Pass for entries, and I tried to get a hold of it to Rusty to figure that out, but he was able to figure something out that was probably easier for him to manage versus, me relaying everything to him. So I'm just happy to be a part of it, happy to see some stock car racing. I mean, really, with the ground pounders, the trucks, the pure stocks, the Crown Vics, that right there would be enough if I was spending my money to get in. And then you have the Memorial Bus race, the skid car race, and the Enduro race. I mean, it's going to be a wild night. So definitely excited about that. But also very excited to finally talk about some New Smyrna racing. We did run the Ashley Holmes Jack's Pro Truck event this weekend. And I want to start off by saying not the best counts in the pit area, but it was a quick, efficient show. It was fun to be back. And I'll tell you, man, I go into this, I don't want to get on here and act like I'm happy with the counts and I'm excited about that. I'm just excited that I get to do what I get to do. So if you want to kind of come at me, I used to go on the New Smyrna Facebook page and do lives and do recaps, and people would get on my case for talking about exciting racing if there's only a couple of cars on the track. Well, the fact of the matter is the racing can still be exciting, but it doesn't mean that I'm happy with the car counts and that there's not work to do. But I am going to take the opportunity and talk about the good stuff that did happen. And, where the stuff needs work, we'll touch on that too. So first of all, we'll start with the Ashley Holmes Jack's Pro Trucks. We'll get that out of the way. And what I want to do, just like I did on the hot mic, I want to talk about what went down on the racetrack. and then we can talk about the other stuff after. In qualifying, George Gorham set fast time. The invert was a 4, so the top 4 were inverted, and it only took like 10 laps for Gorham to get up to the front. And as has been the case a lot over the past couple of years, when Gorham gets out front, he has been very, very tough to pass. Now, there were some restarts and some cautions, but relatively, it was a pretty clean race. Chuck Ayers went for a spin. Who else? Somebody else. There was another caution. Oh, yes, Grayson Greaves. One of the wilder moments in the race happened. Something was going on with Becca Monopoly's truck. Zach was on the call at this point, and he was talking. I looked at Becca's truck and saw it smoking, so I pointed to get his attention, like, "Hey, look at Becca's truck," and he saw it, but something came off of Becca's truck and went into the Grayson Greaves truck. Evidently, he ran it over because a few laps later, his tire would go down. So Becca's truck survived. She ended up 3rd on the night, but Grayson took a hit here, which was too bad as the most recent winner. He had kind of a tough night with mechanical stuff. But like I said, Gorham kind of got out in front, and he had the field covered. Chastain tried on a couple of restarts to get up there and battle with him, but the restarts were pretty clean, and Gorham just, the last restart looked kind of weird, but Gorham he shifted at the right time and took off, and he was able to hang on and take the checkered flag. So it appeared that George Gorham was the winner of the Ashley Holmes Jacks. What do we call this? The High Bank Showdown 60, whatever. It's so funny. I don't really listen to the radio too much while I'm up there. It distracts me. So I try to just, keep my mind on entertaining the fans and what's going on the track. And I never heard that there was any kind of protest or any holds. When I left the track on Saturday, nobody made me aware. And also, I had Peyton on Saturday, so my main focus was, as it was pushing 10:30 or whatever, trying to keep her in good spirits, and thankfully she was. It's so fun to have her at the racetrack now. She's at such a fun age, and I love that during the autograph session, she went with Shelly's granddaughter and got autographs and was having fun herself, and I love seeing how much fun she has at the racetrack. But anyway, my whole point there is when the races were over, I was kind of focused on, winding down and loading up and getting back home in a decent hour, and nobody made me aware. So I get a phone call Monday. We were celebrating pre-K graduation with some pizza, and I was in the pizza shop, and Rusty calls me, and I'm like, oh, better take this. And he's like, hey, what's been put out there about the truck race? And really, Jim does a good job getting his photos up, and the video from Speedway Video had been posted, but that was really it. And he's like, okay, not a big deal. And then he filled me in on the pending protest. And I didn't push and prod. I don't know who protested. Y'all are doing your thing. It's all good. But the results came back, and George Gorham's machine was found to have tampered seals. At least that's what was on the press release. And listen, I don't know that means that anything was cheated up on the motor. I don't know if that just means the seals were not proper or not from the right thing or this and that, but it was a seal issue, and that is a big no-no. With these sealed engines, you just can't do anything to that. It reminds me of Denny Hamlin when they didn't properly send in the motor or whatever, and they got points taken away after a Bristol win. I think that was like 2 years ago now. That's what it kind of reminds me of. And if you're wondering why the comments were turned off, this is the kind of thing. They didn't want a whole bunch of speculation and finger pointing and, people saying this and adding their 2 cents when, like if I got on here and said, oh, well, George Gorham, he's a big fat old cheater. I knew he had to be cheating because his truck was so fast. Of course, that's going to be the narrative. And we didn't want to open that can of worms for everybody. That's why you can share the post and you can put your own thoughts on your own page and let people have discussions there. Somebody even texted me today, oh, good to see Gorham finally got caught cheating, and why'd you turn the comments off on the Facebook post? And, I did what I was asked. I didn't make the post. They just asked me to go turn the comments off. And listen, they're the ones that write me a paycheck, so I do what I'm asked in those situations. I joked. I was like, oh, you don't want to let it burn? And they said no. So, anywho, listen, I hate disqualifications. I understand why they happen, and they have to happen. When something's wrong, and it needs to happen. But man, especially learning a couple of days after the fact, like I just, I understand why NASCAR like wouldn't take wins away for so long, because you like to lead the track, knowing what you saw is what you saw. But with Gorham's disqualification now for the engine issue with the seals, JT Chastain, the official winner now, the Ashley Holmes-Jacks Pro Truck 60. Nick Provost with a career-best second-place finish. Becca Monopoly third. Ross Francisco with a good run in fourth. George Gorham the third was fifth. Dalton Smith sixth. Seventh was Grayson Greaves. Chuck Hires in eighth. Ninth for Patrick Menninga. Brooke Ollie in 10th. I did specify when I got the news today before the press release went out, and I said, my reply was just Gorham, because there was 3 other trucks that were in that stable, not implying that they must be cheating too. I just wanted to make sure, because it was just a quick text, Gorham DQ. So I just wanted to make sure, because obviously he was the one who was the apparent winner. So I just want to clarify that everybody else was clean. I don't know if there was protests on the rest of them. I just wanted to make sure that, I understood what they were texting me. So everything else is good. JT Chastain is the winner. And I'm sure some other people have some more in-depth information. Hopefully we'll be able to see George again. Maybe we can ask him what went down a little further and pick his brain about it. Because I believe that not everybody cheats on purpose, or when they're caught with something that it's on purpose. Like Max Wheeler, when he got DQ'd from his first E-Mod win. It was an oversight, and they admitted to it. Like, they bought the car from someone else and converted it to an E-Mod, and they missed something. And they said, hey, we're going to fix that. We're going to get it right. And what they do, they came out and won. So I believe that sometimes things happen. Sometimes people do things purposely. And but it's racing. And I feel like a lot of people work in the gray area. We're all trying to find those tenths of a second, right? So I'm not going to point the finger. I'm not going to pick sides. I got to let those who are in charge of that do their job, and I'm just reporting on it. So that's my stance on it. But congratulations to JT Chastain, our official winner there. We also had the Super Stocks in action on Saturday. Disappointing field, only 5. I feel like the Super Stocks, they need to... they're a division much like the Modifieds and the Super Lates as of late, that they need to be blown up and start over, which hurts me to say because this is one of my favorite classes. I mean, I've told the story before. I went to a red eye back in 2015, I think it was, or 2016, and watched, after a rain delay, I watched Super Stocks go side by side for 25 laps, and I think it was Reynolds and Curtis racing each other, and it was spectacular. And I love this style of car. I love the Monte Carlos and the Camaros. I love watching this style of racing, and this was a good race. I know the optics of a 5-car field is, not what anyone wants. But when those cars come out and put on a show, that's what I want to see, is a good race. So, I think you could have put another 15 cars on the track and no one would have paid attention to them, because the racing between the top 5 while they lasted was really good. Bobby Hawley making sure he left his mark on all the Spears cars. I'm not saying that that rivalry's renewed, but boy, they were racing hard against one another. And Gage Spears even tried to get him at the end, and before Gage's car gave up the ghost, he tried to get Bobby, and it didn't happen. But it was very entertaining to watch Bobby Hawley versus the Spears gang, if you will. And then, excuse me, Bobby's car did not make it to the finish. And then we had a good race between the brothers. Justin Spears, boy, old Frankenstein came back to life, that's for sure. That car has not been all that great as of late, but it came to life and was able to hold off George, who battled back from his own handling issues. George did not look good in the heat race, and I thought for a minute there he was going to get Justin and win the feature, but that did not happen. So Justin Spears wins a very entertaining Super Stock feature over his brother George. Tyler Pernesti would fight back for third. Fourth would be Bobby Hawley, and rounding out the field would be Gage Spears in the 8 machine. So good race. We just got to figure out a way to get more of these cars. You're going to see a whole bunch of pure stocks, though, at Orlando this weekend, I'm pretty sure. The Bushman Steel Buildings Bomber A's were in action as well. Nice field of 13. What a fun race the Bomber A's put on. Heat number 1, pretty standard. Eddie Evans got the win in that one. Then Michael Austin won a wild second heat race. It's really set the stage for a wild feature. We had a ton of breakouts. We had spins. We had crashes. We had just crazy moments all the way through. This was a race that, as it was winding down, I wish had another 5 laps. I was enjoying it that much. I know the 24-second rule is controversial. I know that there's a contingent of folks that no longer race the class because of the rule, and you have that anytime things change. But the guys that are still going out there and doing this, I know they get frustrated by it, and that's understandable, and I get why. But man, when they're out there doing the thing, it is fun to watch. I really enjoy watching these guys battle each other and battle the clock. This race was dominated early by Stephen Brown. It looked like he had this one under control, and of course we had a rash of cautions. One of the bigger cautions was Tara Wagenbauer got high off turn number 4 and would hit the wall coming out of turn number 2, and after that, we had a wild restart. James Matthias was out in the old Gaten 71 car. It just looked like James did not have the handle on that car. And he's kind of and I'll say it again, it's kind of a dart without feathers. And there was a restart. He went down through the Monroe Express lane, which has been closed, and you're no longer allowed to do that. And that means he was down through the grass on the restart. So they were going to call the restart off. And we always wait till they get to the back straightaway to do that. That's just the protocol on calling off a restart. Now, they let him know over the radio, hey, no start. And then they waved the yellow. But before he could even get the yellow out, James Matthias in the 71, boy, he got way high in turn number 2, and poor Vincent Cortez was to his outside, and both cars would smash the wall off turn number 2, and Cortez hit pretty flat, pretty broadside. It hurt his, more than his ego, I guess you could say. After he hit the wall, but he was okay. And then James Matthias would finish his car off down the back straightaway. He would meet the end of the pit gate there, as you can see from the Speedway video replay. Tore it up pretty bad. So those two were out. Then we had a great race for the lead on the restart. Stephen Brown just couldn't get up through the gears well enough, and he was racing 3 wide with Steven Davila and Preston Obremski, and they would put on a show for the final handful of laps. And when it all came down to it, Preston Obremski would get his first career win by a bumper over Steven Davila. And what's so fun is the leader the last couple weeks has backed off so much to not break out on the final lap that the second place guy almost gets him at the line. And we've had 2 photo finishes the last couple of races in a row. And it's just, man, it's exciting. I know it's the rule. I know the rule keeps everybody close and bunched up and comers and goers. But I'm telling you, I have more to talk about in a Bomber A race than I do in the Pro Truck 60. And I thought the Pro Truck 60 was a fine race, but the Bombers are just action-packed right now. And I know the purists in a lot of us are like, man, this rule. But damn, if you're not entertained at least, even if it's inorganic, I'm just telling you, the races are fun. That's all I can really say about it. I'm not advocating for it either way. I just, as a racing announcer, I like to have stuff to talk about, and the Bomber A's always give me something to talk about. But congratulations to Preston Obremski for that first career win. He would hold off a hard-charging Steven Davila, who was in the 16 car, Zachariah Cartledge's machine. Zachariah now announcing at Citrus County. Turned the keys over to Steven Davila, and as I saw on Facebook, it looks like Caleb Jones, former champion, will be making a return in that 16 car as well here. Yeah, not too long down the road, so that'll be fun. Cool to see a driver following his passion, but also keeping that car in action as well. Stephen Brown had dominated the event, finished back in the 3rd spot, just didn't get the restart he needed there at the end. Eddie Evans came home with a solid 4th place run. Michael Austin had a good day, winning the heat and finishing 5th in the feature. Dustin Higdon took the 24X machine to 6th, and that's because things got wild on the last lap between Eddie Evans Jr. and Brandon Monroe. Eddie Evans Jr. came from 2 or 3 cars back going into turn 3 and just sent it in there on the final corner and ended up spinning Brandon Monroe, and Eddie got a flat tire there. So Brandon was 7th. Bailey Kite was 8th. 9th, Freddie Evans Jr. and James Matthias would round out the top 10 there in the Bomber A's. We also had the Florida Southern Ground Pounders in action. And, hey, they put on a good show to end out the night. Nice, clean 20-lap run. Not much in the way of drama. Played out pretty smooth. And Art Koonsman would get to the line first and win the stock car portion of the event. Toby Smith would win the modifieds. And Lori Bonaparte, very excited, Lori Bonaparte would get her first sportsman victory in that class. So love the multi-class racing. Ground Pounders are always fun. If anything, you just get nostalgic about looking at those old cars come out. And it's just fun to see those drivers doing what they love with their cars instead of having them as lawn ornaments. So definitely a fun night over at the Speedway, an efficient night. 4 classes I feel like is the sweet spot. 5 is I think okay too. I think 4 or 5 classes a night work. The family fun nights, we had that extra class or 2 in there you got to pad the back gate a little bit. Sometimes those can run long and you lose steam. This event left me wanting more. You know what I mean? And hopefully it left. A lot of people stayed for the whole night, and that's what you want. You want to scratch that itch, but you want more. That's the perfect show to me, because that makes you want to come back. If the shows are too drawn out, you get tired, you leave early, you feel like you're losing value. If you can keep a majority of the folks there through the whole show and show them everything, because I feel like any division that comes out on the racetrack can deliver for the fans. Give them that moment they've been looking for. Give them, sometimes it's a crash, sometimes it's a finish, sometimes it's a spectacular save or great side-by-side racing or, just a dramatic moment. So when you can keep the fans there longer to see more of it, then they can have trust in your division and still want to come back and see it. So this is the perfect balance of getting your money's worth. It wasn't an expensive show. People got their value, got to see great racing. Maybe they leave and they say, man, I wish there were a few more cars and trucks. That's fair. But I think they want more. They want to come see the next chapter of the Bomber A's. They want to see now with this truck drama, what's that series going to be like moving forward, Not that that's the narrative you want to have after a race, but I feel like that opens the door for some intrigue. So Super Stock's got to get a few more of those out there. We're going to get back to the 10, 12, 15 car days, and I don't know what that takes. There's smarter people out there that can try to rally for that. But yeah, it felt nice to get on the mic. I had fun with it. We got some good racing. We had some wild moments, and obviously I just yapped about it for 20, 25 minutes here on the show. And yeah, it's good to be back. So, of course, that leads us into the off weekend. But as you heard from the interview with William, lucky enough to be on the mic for the show this weekend. So we of course we'll talk about that on next week's show. We'll talk about the Indy 500, the Coke 600, whatever else other racing things go on next week's show. But before we end this week's, trying to keep this consumable for you all. Got to talk a little bit about NASCAR because they had the All-Star race this weekend. Some of you may say, really? There's the NASCAR All-Star race this weekend? Well, yes, there was. And we talked about it on last week's show, which I know a few of you listened to. I saw the numbers. I was not excited about this. I was not hyped about this. The All-Star race used to be one of my favorite things, man. As a kid, Saturday night, posting up in my bedroom, doing the family stuff during the day, making sure my chores were done so I could sneak away and go watch that All-Star Open. And I used to love that race as a kid. One of my favorite memories of the All-Star Open, being from Maine, Ricky Craven, broke his way into NASCAR, got that Hendrick Motorsports ride, and never won a race before, and went out and won the Open in the 25 car. And I was like, wow, Ricky Craven won something. And to me as a kid, that was still winning a race. I know it didn't count for points, but I'm like, Ricky Craven won something. That makes me, a kid from Maine, pretty darn happy. And then throughout the years, you had the Mike Bliss, Brian Vickers battle. You had that epic battle with Larson and Elliott and Jones a few years ago. Sometimes the Open was the most exciting race. So we've just decided that doesn't need to happen anymore. So they took that away. Or did they? Actually, what happened was, and the way this all played out, it's just so silly. This year's All-Star race started with all 36 chartered cars on track. Now, the cars that had won a race or former champions or former All-Star winners were still locked into the All-Star race, which was evidently the final 200 laps. But everybody started the open. And then, like, I don't even know how many cars it was. Like 6 cars were going to transfer in, and then there was the fan vote, and it's going to be 26 cars to start the final 200 laps. Okay, fine. But since we started all the cars in what was essentially a 150-lap open race, we wrecked everybody on lap 2. Ryan Preece kind of misjudged where he was on the racetrack, I guess, for lack of a better term, and got himself turned and hit the wall about as hard as you can hit at Dover, burst into flames, and most of that is because the fuel tank was full, and, you know, it hit so hard on the rear end, it just knocked things loose, and when you got a full tank of fuel and it finds a spark, it's going to ignite. So pretty spectacular wreck. That also involved drivers like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. Who else was out? Cole Custer was out after this one. Todd Gilliland, I think, was in this, or was he in the second one? I don't know. But this involved a lot of cars. It was like a 7, 8, 9, 10 car pileup on lap 2 of this 350 lap endeavor that we were trying to get through. So, you know, Priest, Custer, they're out. A bunch of guys go to the garage. But then it turned out that the guys that were locked into the All-Star race were allowed to just go back there, work on their car, and get ready for the 200 and still be able to come out on the lead lap for that 200-lap race, because both segments of the Open, the first 2 75 lappers, were their own separate race, and so was the All-Star 200, even though it was all one long 350-lap conglomerate. Are you following along? So, midway through stage 2, we have a caution, another caution. I can't remember what for. I think somebody had a tire go down or something. And then we had different pit strategies. So they were like 2 and 3 wide coming off turn number 4. And then we had another big wreck down the front straightaway that also, this one involved Todd Gilliland. Chris Buescher was in it. Nemechek was in it. Chase Elliott was in it again. Ryan Blaney was in it. Chase Elliott would actually retire from the entire event. So Chase Elliott did not even run the All-Star race. Make that make sense, right? Your most popular driver's not even in the quote-unquote all-star portion of the all-star race because he crashed out in the open part of it. Yeah, not great, right? And then later on, I think it was segment 2 of this open crap, my favorite driver, Ross Chastain, would crash with Brad Keselowski and Bubba Wallace. So Ross Chastain was out and not able to continue or participate in the all-star race. So Chase Elliott, the NASCAR most popular driver, and then my favorite driver that I root for on Sunday, also out, even though they were all-star drivers. So, I mean, not the best look. Whoever thought that this was a good idea obviously should not be thinking of any more ideas in the NASCAR ecosystem, because this was a flop. So, I'm sitting there Sunday night. You know, I went to church in the morning, hung out with the girlfriend and her family for a while on Sunday, and then my mom, who's getting ready to leave for Vermont, wanted to stop by one more time and see us and have a dinner and see Peyton before she heads up for the summer. And so she came over Sunday night. We had dinner, cooked dinner, everything. And I said, "Hey, you don't mind if I put the All-Star race on?" She's like, No. So we watched that, and I'm watching it later at night. And as it's going and going, I'm just like, this is even dumber than I thought it was going to be. And that's just how I felt. Like, the whole time I'm like, this is not all that exciting. I mean, there were some big wrecks. I'm just like, this is a farce. We have fallen so far from what this race is supposed to be. We've lost the plot. It's just goofy. Then the 200 laps rolls around, and it was pretty clear that, you know, with Elliott out, with Chastain out, with Larson damaged, with Logano damaged, with Bubba Wallace damaged, because Bubba won segment number 1, then he was damaged, with Ryan Blaney damaged. It was pretty evident that with how good Denny Hamlin has been at Dover recently, that he was going to be the man to beat. And sure enough, he was. And the other fast guys, like Connor Zilic, beat himself on pit road, got a speeding penalty, still finished 5th. But the only other guy that really had anything for him was Chase Briscoe, who could get by him on the restarts. But Hamlin's car was so good over the long run that he eventually got back by. But the other silly thing to this, I want to point out before I go over the results and kind of sum this up, the final segment, or the actual all-star portion of this all-star 350-lap race, was 200 laps. They had an all-star caution at lap 75, so the first 75 laps went clean and green. Why have a mandatory caution when they're still going to have to pit in the next 125 laps? Like, there was going to have to be a green flag pit stop at some point if there was no natural caution. So why do we need this fake caution to break it up? It just didn't make any sense to me. We still got that green flag pit stop, but then as we were having those pit stops, Joey Logano corded a tire, blew a tire, and brought out a natural caution, which screwed guys like, who was it? Hocevar, who pitted early. He got trapped a couple laps down and finished back in 14th. It just seemed silly and pointless to have that all-star caution if we're still going to run them along on the other side. Excuse me. Just so many things about the format didn't make sense. It wasn't exciting. I've heard some rumblings that, and I agree with this, that this should have just been like a Milk Bowl style race. What would have been kind of fun if they really wanted to blow this up and make it interesting, the final 200, they could have kept the non-open thing and thrown everybody in the first 150 laps, and they could have done all that, and then just could have made it fun as this is a 200 lap thing, 4 50-lap stages, you get points in each stage, and do it Milk Bowl style. You could do it whoever had the least amount of points, if you want to do 1 point for first, 2 points for second, 3 points, etc. Or, you do it 25 points for the winner, subtract 1 through the field, or whatever nomination or whatever denomination of points you want to put on there. It's arbitrary, just as long as everybody's on the same scoring thing. Do it Milk Bowl style. That would have been so much more fun than watching Denny Hamlin dominate. And his battle with Chase Briscoe was good, towards the end there. But once Hamlin got out front, it was, they could have thrown the checker right there. I would have done that a whole lot differently. For me, if we're going to run this at Dover to build the hype, I would have gone, completely out of the box. And I get it. There are people that are going to say, if you do it Milk Bowl style, whoever takes the last checkered flag might not be the winner. Oh, yeah, you're damn right. That's how points work, right? On a NASCAR championship that comes down to points, the guy who wins the last race of the season very rarely is the champion, right? And I'm not talking the playoff system, the winner-take-all thing. That had its own deal. But, you go watch those Jimmy Johnson championships. How many of those Homestead races did he win? He never did. So it's okay to crown a champion like that, but you're telling me it's too confusing to crown an all-star race winner like that? Come on. You guys are ridiculous. What I would have done, saying that somebody came into my desk and said, okay, we're running the all-star race at Dover. That's just what we have to do. Come up with a fun format. What would you do? Well, I would I would keep the traditional. Sometimes I make up words on this show. I would keep the traditional all-star race deal with having an open, and I would do. Let's say we're at Dover, right? So I would do 2 50-lap open stages. The open cars come out. If you're not qualified for the all-star race, we're gonna run 1 50-lap stage, all out, 50 laps. Green flag laps only. Green flag laps only. Race has to end under green. If the caution comes down, the white flag race is over. Okay. The winner of that qualifies in. Then we were going to do a second stage where we run 25 laps, and then we invert the top 6 for the final 25. Yep, that's what I would do. Invert the top 6 for the final 25. Actually, you know what? No. I would do a random draw inside the top 8. So maybe it's 8, maybe it's 2, maybe it's not. Maybe it's 0. And then send them for 25 more laps. Green flag laps only count. And then the winner of that goes into the All-Star as well. And then if we're beholden to the fan vote, then the fan vote winner also qualifies in. And that's your field. If it's 18 cars, it's 18 cars. If it's 22, it's 22. It is what it is. It's an all-star race. It doesn't need to feature everybody. They all got to race in the open. They all got to do the qualifying. It's a full race weekend. It's just like at your local track when you have a 36-car ACT field and you got to dwindle it down to 28 or 30. People got to go home. Sorry, you didn't hit it this day. You had a whole season and season plus, because they take winners from this year. You got a whole season plus to win your way into the All-Star race. If you win a cup race, points race. So don't tell me everybody didn't have a fair chance. You had a season and a half to make your way into this race, and you couldn't even get it done on the consolation. So that's how I look at that. But when I got to the actual All-Star, I would do just what I said. I'd break it into 4 50-lap segments. Lowest amount of points. I would do it Milk Bowl scoring style. The winner gets 1 point, second gets 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You go up the field. And that's how I would run the All-Star race. And whoever had the least amount of points at the end of the 4 segments, and I would do 4 segments, give it that extra. This isn't the Moke Bowl. This is the NASCAR All-Star race. It has 4 segments. That's right. And then the person with the lowest amount of points would be the All-Star race winner. And if they finished 5th in the final segment, who cares? And you know what? Maybe you find a sponsor, you put up some extra cash for the segment winners. Excuse me. You make it worth something, you know? So I feel like that would have been a lot more fun than what we had. And it's still, at the end of the day, 300 laps at Dover. You know, I am a guy who preaches long races, but it's the All-Star race, you know? 300 laps, I feel like, is a significant amount of time. You run the Open before the All-Star. You do it all at the same time. We're not going to run the Open on Saturday night. No. The Open is part of the All-Star event. You run that Open, you get your guys, you move into the end of the field, and you race the All-Star. I think that's what they should do. That's what I would do. This was a joke, but congratulations to Denny Hamlin. He continues to be the master and ruler of Darlington. He gets the win over Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, Connor Zilic, Austin Cindric, William Byron, Michael McDowell, Alex Bowman, and Brad Keselowski, your top 10. Other notables, Ryan Blaney, 13th. Not bad considering he knocked the front clip off the car in one of those wrecks. But they fixed him up pretty good. 13th is respectable for his day. Kyle Busch, 17th. Bubba Wallace, 20th. Tyler Reddick, 22nd. He had mechanical problems. Christopher Bell crashed out. He was 23rd. Ty Gibbs, 24th. Joey Logano, 25th. Kyle Larson, 26th. And then these are the drivers that did not make the field for the All-Star portion. Cody Ware, Zane Smith, Riley Herbst, Ross Chastain, John Hunter Nemechek, Chris Buescher, Chase Elliott, Todd Gilliland, Ryan Preece, Cole Custer. So there you go. All-Star race weekend at Dover also featured the trucks. That was won, unfortunately, by Kyle Busch. And then the Xfinity race is pretty good. A nice battle at the end between Corey Day and Justin Allgaier. When the checker would fly, Corey Day would get the win, his second career win, but in my opinion, his first, this guy gets it. He's going to be good type performance. So that's Dover. Real quick, want to talk about the NASCAR, the Racing with Ryan podcast fantasy league. Make sure you set your picks for the Coke 600. You know, you're going to want your typical guys. You're going to think about Larson, Hamlin, Reddick, Bell, Byron. Those are the kind of guys that have been really good. You can think about Ross Chastain. This is the site of his last win back a year ago at the Coke 600. So maybe you put him in your garage. Maybe you want to take a risk on him because you've played those other guys too much. So, your Toyotas, your Hendrick Motorsports guys, Blaney probably is a safe play if you're looking at a Ford. But you're going to use your typical 1.5 mile type starters for this and get ready for the longest race in the NASCAR season, 600 miles at the Charlotte Motor Speedway Sunday evening. Very excited for this race weekend. Obviously, Hell on Wheels, that event's going to be a lot of fun over at the Orlando Speedworld. Thanks again to William Hindman for joining us on the show to talk about that and hype us up for that event. Sunday, you got the Indy 500 at noon or 12:30, whenever that starts. And I don't really follow the IndyCar series very closely. I'll throw it on in the background. I just don't sit down and watch all the races. But I love the Indy 500. It's one of those races where anything can happen. And any moment can become a wild moment. It's kind of like the Daytona 500. A single car spin could, end up being a really big moment. Ryan Preece a few years ago at Daytona, a single car spin, and he's upside down. You just never know what might happen in the Indy 500. Those cars are so fast. It's going to come down to strategy and pit stops and can they pass and draft and all this stuff. And it's just a fun race. Half the time I don't even know who's leading. Half the time I don't even know who's who. I don't know who's good. I don't pay that much attention to it. As far as, I pay attention to the race, but I don't know that much going into it. So it's just one of those races I like to put on, and it's historic, and I like to see what happens there. And, of course, the Coke 600 has been spectacular ever since the new car came out in 2022. I was talking with Matt on the hot mic about it earlier. Even the race that got rain shortened, that was disappointing how it ended. But damn, the racing was really good. So I think we'll get to see another pretty good race. I feel like, we're at the point with this next-gen car where everybody's got it figured out. The racing hasn't been as good, so it may not be the most spectacular one. But who knows? It's a 600-mile race. It's got 4 stages. It's a lot can happen. Ross Chastain kind of came out of nowhere to win. That's been his last good race. So we'll see if he can back that up. He needs to back it up. He's having a rough year. But I think the favorite is probably, a lot of people probably looking at Hamlin or Reddick, and in the Chevy camp, probably Larson, even though it's been a year since Larson's won a race. Without Larson doing the double, he's not running the Indy 500 this year. He can really focus on that car and try to get it right. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully Mother Nature plays nice, because it looks like there may be rain in the forecast, but it is what it is. We will see what happens. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Y'all stay safe, have a good time, be safe, enjoy some racing. Come see us at Orlando, or go support Auburndale or Showtime or the other places that are running here this weekend, and enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. And come back with us next week, and we'll recap it all. It's one of my favorite shows to do. We've had some really epic, 2-hour-long podcasts about the Memorial Day race weekend. I will not be watching Thunder Road this year. I did not renew my Flow subscription with how expensive everything is, and how much less of the product that I buy it for is not going to be on there anymore. I'm just not going to renew, so I will watch highlights that come across Facebook, and I'm going to have to not watch that one live. So next week's show will focus on Hell on Wheels and the Indy 500 and Coke 600. So come on back for a recap of all that, and we will catch you next week. Thank you guys so much for listening. Looking forward to Family Fun Night on the 30th, our next race at the new Smyrna Speedway as well. So thank you again to our sponsors, Do All Lawn and Tree, F&F Racings, the Splish and Splash Swim Program, Paramount Medical Billing, and Ken Copley. Thank you all so much for your support. Thank you all for listening. Hope you enjoyed this week's show. Thanks to William Hindman, too, for taking time out of his night to call in. This has been a fun one. I will talk to you all next week. Until then, take care, and vroom vroom on.